What's up guys, Rob here with Adventure Bound Off-Road. Welcome back to part 2 of this build series. We're kind of all over the place on this. It came out to be way too long, so we broke it into a few different series. We're going to end up out on Sand Mountain with the customer when he comes in, and we're going to show you everything that we did to the front end of this JL. The next step is to remove and replace the steering gear. The reason that we need to put a new steering gear in the Jeep is because we need these ports. So this assembly is not on your factory box, and these ports are what we're going to use to hook up the steering assist ram. So while we're in here, we are going to make some modifications. He has had the spring rub on this Synergy sector shaft brace. We are going to be reusing this. We're just going to modify it and create some clearance so that way we don't have this interference. To kick this off, we're going to start with removing the inner fender. Then I'm going to disconnect the reservoir, pull it out of the way, get the sector shaft brace out of the way, remove the pitman arm and drag link. Then we'll be able to remove the box. Let's get this thing started. So clearly this boot is already torn, so we are going to be ordering new joints at the pitman arm and down at the knuckle. We're replacing the entire tie rod, so those are going to be fresh joints, so may as well go ahead and freshen up these joints. The suspension and steering has been on here for a while, so let's go ahead and just make it fresh. Now we're going to knock this out with a pickle fork. Go ahead and get the drag link removed. This is a very critical part of the install, and you can really mess some things up if you do not do this. So we're going to find center of the steering wheel by rotating it one way and then rotating it back the other way equally. So there's one, there's a little over half, there's straight up and down, full rotation. So that should be center. We're going to do the equal amount over here to make sure. So there's one full rotation, and this should be about a little over half. So we're gonna go back straight up and down, then a full rotation, and that is centered. So now we're gonna take a ratchet strap and we're gonna hook it down to the brake pedal. So we're gonna go through this center notch of the steering wheel. Just kind of snug it up. Doesn't have to be super tight. All we're doing is preventing this steering wheel from turning. So now we have to go and disconnect the intermediate shaft that connects to the steering box. And when we disconnect that, if the steering wheel does more than a complete turn, it will break your clock spring. And now you have to repair that, which is not very inexpensive. We are replacing the box right now so we can go to hydro assist on this JL. This is a 2021 model, so it does have the e-torque. And when you have the e-torque, you're gonna have a lot of componentry in this area that makes it pretty complex to replace the steering box, where older models, you don't have this water pump for the e-torque. So what I just did was I just strapped down the steering wheel so that way we have center being held. And if you have a friend, you can have them move the intermediate shaft just enough that you can put a 13 mil on an extension with a 3/8 impact and zip that bolt out. And then you can go from the back side and pry it off the steering box. Now we're ready to pull the 4 bolts that hold the steering box to the chassis, but I just want to take a second and talk about this real quick. I am a big advocate of using paint stripe. So torque stripe, paint stripe, whatever you want to call it, but I can tell that these bolts have never loosened up, and I did this build back in 2021. We got the factory box out of the Jeep. We didn't actually get that on camera because it took Mike and I both in this area. We were all over the place, but we were fighting with it, got it out. The lines are really hard to get to because of this water pump for the battery system, but we finagled it out of there. Now we're ready to put the PSC box back in. Now that we got the power steering box all installed, lines are tight, that's all wrapped up, we're ready to move on to the next thing on our parts list. So I have a set of Reid knuckles and something extra that I'm throwing in are these RCV tube seals. So I bought these for my Jeep just to find out that I had the XD version of the axle and the tube thickness is a little bit more on those, so I could not use these. So I'm giving these to Ron. Ron's been a good customer. He has always supported me, so this is my way of giving back for this go around. So in addition to this install, if you were doing this at home, something that I would recommend is a set of ball joints. We do these whenever we do the C gussets. These are the Dynatrack ball joints. That's a great option. Another great option that I recommend is the ball joint deletes from American Iron. Now we're going to go and disassemble the brakes, the hub, the axle shafts are going to come out. We're going to knock the knuckle off and then reassemble everything with the new parts.
Like I bag groceries, dip rich off this, even if my mouth wired till the wheels burn, no matter how tired. Can't hold me, can't hold me, they can't hold me, hustle like I bag groceries.
Guys, something that I pride myself on is creating relationships with my customers, and I always hope that I have created a friendship to where I am their guy. And by doing that, I know that I am going to be working on the vehicle, not this time, the next time, and the next time after that. So I always try to set myself or my guys up for success by using anti-seize and doing different things. I want to show you something. I was the last guy that was in this, and that hub just came right off. This whole thing I coated with anti-seize. You can see it's coated with anti-seize, and you will typically never get a bearing off that easy. But I knew that I was going to be probably in here again, so I took the extra steps, and that's just how I do things. All right, guys, so while I was cleaning, I just kind of felt the ball joints, and there's a little bit of play in this upper. It's got some up and down, and it's a little bit looser than I'd like to see. So I'm actually going to pause the install of this and call the customer and see if he wants me to go ahead and rebuild these ball joints, because I already have everything apart. It's just a matter of ordering some parts and then rebuilding them, and that's going to save us another trip and him having to get back on my schedule. So if I ever come across stuff like that, I try to let the customer make their decision if they want me to go ahead and do it or to carry on with the plan. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe. We are going to be doing a full walk around video of this rig. Let me know in the comments what you want me to cover in that.